All right, what's up, guys? Mr. Cruz here to give you guys your video notes for today. We're going to be going over graphing proportional relationships. Now, remember, this is when I said, hey, last week was going to be really easy, but that this week things were going to get kind of difficult. But if you locked in and you paid attention and you did well last week, you're going to do well this week. If you didn't lock in last week, well, now's the time to do it because we about to get it cracking here. All right. So what we're going to be doing, you should have your notes in front of you. We're going to be going over graphing. It's called graphing proportional relationships. It's just a fancy word for saying that like we're going to make a line on a graph. All right. So what you're going to be able to do at the end of this is that we're going to understand that an equation in the form of y equals mx represents a line. This doesn't make much sense right now, but trust me, it will in a second. We're going to identify slope, m, as the slope or the rate of change. Now, last week, you should remember that I started saying the rate of change. I was like, hey, on the paper that you guys did, you did a worksheet where it said, what's the slope? And I said, oh, slope is just another word for rate of change. So now we're not going to use the word rate of change anymore. We're going to be using the word slope, but it means the same thing. And we're going to be able to graph a line using slope from the origin, pretty much meaning that we're going to plot a point on the origin, and then we're going to follow what our rate of change is or what our slope is and make a line. All right. First up, look at this. All right. This right here, this m, is our is like the most important part of the formula that we're going to be using. So our formula is y equals mx. What does that mean? Don't worry about it. Just worry about what I'm about to tell you right now. The number that is in front of this x will tell us how the line moves. So pretty much I'm going to replace the m in this formula and with a number. That number is going to be what we call our slope. All right. So it's going to be called a slope. I think you should have some parts in your notes that you would have filled out by now. So make sure you're locking in. All right. What is the slope here? So I see that any number that I replace m with is the slope. And here I've replaced it with 3. So my slope in this formula is 3. My slope in this formula is 2. My slope in this formula is negative 1 over 2. All right, you see how easy it is to be able to identify, just be able to tell me, hey, what's the slope? If I showed you the formula, it's just the number that is in front of the x. All right, so we're going to graph these. This is like where it kind of gets a little bit difficult, but good thing you got a great teacher. All right, so again, m is the slope. It's a proportional relationship, and our graph is we're always going to start with plotting the origin. So we're going to start with plotting 0, 0. All right, this is the part where I'm going to have to get a little finagle in here. All right, so I got my pen here. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to identify what the slope is. In my formula here, my slope is 2. Here's the other thing, is that our slope has to be in the form of a fraction. All right, right now it's a whole number. If it's a whole number, I'm going to put it over 1. So now I'm going to say that my slope is 2 over 1. All right, that's going to make sense because when we go to plot it, we're going to need both of these two numbers because you guys remember that we called this rise over run. All right, so step 1 is done. We identified what the slope is. It's 2, but I'm going to say 2 over 1. Next says to start at the origin. So I'm going to plot my first point at the origin right here. Step 3, use slope, rise over run. So that means I got my point plotted here, and my rise over run is what my slope is. So my slope is 2, but it's really 2 over 1. Remember that this number up the top was my rise, and the number underneath it was the run. The rise tells me how far I'm going up or down. The run tells me how many spaces to the right I'm going to go. So I'm going to start at the origin. This is a positive 2, so I'm going to go up 2 spaces. 1, 2. And then my run is 1, so I'm going to go to the right 1. And then this is where I would put my next dot, and then I would connect those together. I'm going to erase this so that we can kind of see it a little bit better. And then I'm going to just plot my origin. I go up 2 spaces, 1, 2, and then I go to the right 1. And then this is where I would plot my next point, and then I got my line. That's it. That's all I'm doing. I could do this again so that you can kind of see how the line will consistently be the same. So again, from this new point that I got, I would go up 2, 1, 2, over 1. 1, 2, over 1. And then all of those points that I'm plotting are going to be able to connect to make a line. A terrible line right now, but a line nonetheless. All right. Our last step is to draw the line, which we kind of already did. All right. Let's go on to the next example. So this one says example number 2. First, identify what the slope is. My slope is 3. It's a whole number, but I need it to be a fraction. So instead of 3, it's really 3 over 1. So we did step 1. We identified what the slope is. My slope is 3 over 1. Step 2 is start at the origin. So I'm going to plot my origin right here. And then step 3 is to use my slope. So my slope is a positive 3 over 1. So that means I'm going to go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and then over 1. We're always going to go to the right, so we're never going to go to the left, all right? Just so y'all know. And then there goes my slope, right? I used my slope, and then I drew my line. Y'all see how easy this is? This is really easy. And especially as smart as y'all are, like, this is light work. All right. Step 1, identify a slope. And here I see it, we got a hint that this one is negative. All right, so step 1, identify the slope. We know that the slope is negative 2. It's really a fraction, so it's going to be negative 2 over 1. Step 2, start at the origin. All right, so let's plot our point at the origin. We did that. And then step 3, use slope, or use your rise over 1, run. So it's a negative 2, right? When it was a positive 2, we went up 2 spaces from the origin. We went up 2, right? This one's negative 2, so guess what direction we're going to go this time? We're going to go down 2 spaces. 1, 2, and then it's a positive 1, so I'm going to go to the right one. But again, like I said, like we're always going to go to the right. Let me do that one again. 1, 2, I went down because it's a negative 2, and then over to the right 1. All right, and then I would just connect the dots here. Man, this is too easy. Boom. And then I drew my line. I should just make step 3 and 4 combined. All right, this is all you're doing. Let's see if we could do this one. Example number 4. I think this is the last example on your page. Y equals 1 over 4x. All right, so my step 1 was to identify my slope. My slope is 1 over 4. Step 2 was to plot my origin. All right, did that. Step 3 was to use your slope. So 1 over 4 means I'm going to go up 1 space and then to the right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Notice that I didn't have to turn this one into a fraction because it was already in the form of a fraction. It already had the rise and the run. And then step 4 was to connect the dots. So then let's connect the dots. And then that's it. See, even tells us here, plot your origin, move up 1 and right 4, and then plot that point that you land at, which ends up being 1, 4. I think we got one more here. Oh, we got 3 more or 2 more. All right, this time, what is my slope on this one? Because I just see y equals x. I don't see a number in front of it. Well, there's an invisible number in front of every variable, and that invisible number is 1, right? Because we've talked about this before. Like if I had x plus x, what would I end up with? Well, I would end up with 2x. How do you end up with 2x? Because there's an invisible 1 in front of those x's, right? I combine 2 x's together and I end up with 2x. So whenever I see one that says y equals x, my slope is really 1 because there's an invisible 1 in front of it. But in reality, it's got to be a fraction, so I got to put 1 over 1. All right, I'm going to start at my origin. I'm going to move according to my slope, which is 1 over 1. So that means I'm going to go up 1 and then to the right 1. I'm going to do it one more time. Go up 1 and to the right 1. I just like to have 3 points when I make my line so that I know that I'm doing it right. And then I connect my dots to make my line. All right. The other thing I want you to keep in mind here is that y equals x was my slope ended up being 1. What would happen if the x was negative? If I had y equals negative x, what would the slope in this formula right here be? All right. The slope would be a negative 1. So then my slope on that one would be negative 1 over 1, meaning that I would go down 1 and then to the right 1. But we're not doing that for this one. All right, we got one more example. Y equals negative 3. So my slope is negative 3, but it's really negative 3 over 1 because I need it to be a fraction. All right, I identified what my slope is. I plotted my origin, and now I'm going to go down 3 because it's negative 3. So I'm going to go down 3 spaces, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to go to the right 1. All right, Let me do that one more again. 1, 2, 3, and then to the right 1. And then I can connect those dots. Trying to draw a straight line with a mouse is crazy hard. All right, there we go. This is all you guys got to do. All right, so good luck on the worksheet. Good luck on the assignments. If you need help, come back to this video and just watch a part of it again. All right, see you guys later.